Hey everyone, welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host Nick, and I'm here with Raven.
Hello.
Tell them where you're from.
I'm from That's Slightly So Raven at YouTube.com. No, I'm just kidding. So, yeah, he will have a description or a link below. So,
Yes.
so yeah, that's where I'm from.
All
I like Oreos.
right. All right. So, to recap on our Japan trip, that will also have a link back to her video.
Yeah, we did part one on
for-
my channel, and we're doing part two on his channel.
All right. So, as a part two, we left off talking about, if I'm not mistaken, what was it, Shinjuku?
Akibara.
Oh man, Akibara.
Akibara.
All right. Oh man, names.
It's okay.
We left off on Akibara, and we had started our adventure at this seemingly eight-floored adult shop.
Yeah, so in the first video, we discussed what I saw or what I was allowed to be in. So it was 8 stories, 8 floors tall. There was a point that we discussed that on the 4th floor. Wait, was it the 3rd or the 4th?
It was the third.
Yeah, like after on the 3rd floor, that's when women were not allowed to keep going further, and that's where Nick comes in to tell his story.
Yeah. All right, so the 4th floor.
Yeah, because since I couldn't go up, Nick was like, "Oh, we should leave," and I was like, "No, we have to know the secrets. We have to know what is in there."
So I get to the 4th floor, and as I'm going up these stairs, right, obviously there's pictures and memorabilia of all these kind of adult themed stars and stuff all around. Well, mainly Japan and some parts of America. But as I get up there, I begin to see the weirdest stuff. Like, all right, so there's vending machines up there that sell like girl panties with a DVD and DVDs, and they got like molder vaginas up there and all kinds of weird, strange things. This is just the 4th floor now. Okay, like, so you can only imagine. Like, I'm talking about, this thing has libraries and libraries and stuff of just craziness. And so from there, I decided to ascend higher into the building. Right, and let me tell you, it gets so much. I'm talking about, we get to the point where we start hitting like fantasy, like demon tentacle things and bestialities and all kinds of strange stuff.
He keeps saying "we," but I think he's just doing that because he wanted me to experience this with him.
You were there with me in spirit.
I was there with him in spirit.
She was there with me in spirit.
Shadow.
In shadow. We were linked.
In shadow yoga.
And so, but there are some parts of that building where it does get kind of over the top, where they have this thing where they like adult women to look like children, and I guess that can sometimes get them off, I guess. But there's a floor with a lot of what people would call kiddie porn on it.
Yeah.
A lot of fantasy kiddie porn. Now, I like to imagine or assume that these girls are just adults that happen to look really young, but it got weird.
Mm-hmm.
And after seeing this, I immediately walked back downstairs, completely dumbfounded and lost for words.
Yeah. Yeah, he came back to me, and I was like, "Are you Nick? Where'd he go?"
You're
very light.
I had seen lighter than I normally am. I had seen some pretty graphic stuff, but after we left that, we had to go cleanse our palate, and
cleanse our souls.
We had to go cleanse our souls.
Well, he did. I was good. I just saw something, that flexible kitty doll that.
Yeah, that was the 3rd floor preparing you for the worst.
Yeah. That was.
But in a nutshell, palate had to be cleansed. So we walked around out in the street and stuff. That it was raining, so obviously, it couldn't have been more of a meeting of purity going on. But anyway, we got hungry, and we went off to go find this place called the Maid Cafe.
In Akihabara, there's a lot of maid cafes. I think we just chose the closest one, and that's what we ended up with. And yeah, because there were a ton. I think, and then I was also, it was Maid Dreaming, and Maid Dreaming supposedly has most of the maid cafes that know how to speak English.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's why we chose them, because there were a ton. Like, I kept seeing tons of maid cafes.
Yeah. So just like anything in Akihabara, right?
Mm-hmm.
Most of everything's stacked up, so it usually goes high instead of wide. So we had to go through this process of getting on the elevator, going up there, and there's pros and cons to this place. One, the pictures make it look 3 times bigger than it was, at least at the one we were at.
I think every picture in Japan makes everything look bigger than it actually is.
Yeah. So we get in there. It's a small room. There are some people, their employees dress up as maids, hence Maid Cafe.
Mm-hmm.
It has this very overly cuteness to it, from the foods and the drinks, and you have to like do this weird
So you have to do the slave enchantment before you get your food.
slave. You basically have to stimulate a cat
you have to sell
and
your
a bunny.
soul in a cute way before you can get your omelet on rice
or anything. And after you've done the tribute that they make you do, you begin to order. And honestly, the food that they have is really, really adorable looking.
Mm-hmm.
I had, if I'm not mistaken, mine had to be a bear face that was a meatloaf.
Yeah.
Surrounded by rice. It was really cool looking, and I believe Raven had
I had this little bunny, I think, in a tub full of curry and rice.
Yeah, and these things were delicious, to be quite honest with you, but the price didn't warrant the experience.
Yeah, I think it was like at Dave & Buster's, I could have spent way less money and had even more of a great time, and we didn't even get alcohol. So it was like the price that we paid, like it was close to $90.
Yeah, $90 US, right?
Yeah,
and not in what?
In yen, it was like 8,000.
Yeah, so not $90.
Yeah.
And so and then after that, they brought the ice cream out. The ice cream was really creative. It was basically like cats and bunnies that you basically got to drink down. It was made out of like gummies,
frosted flakes,
and gummies and stuff like that. And then
Mm-hmm.
after that, you got the opportunity to take a picture wearing cat ears.
Yeah,
and bunny
they
ears.
gave you your individual cat ears, like a souvenir.
And then you had to go back up on stage in front of everybody and redo the ritual that you had just conducted when you first sat down.
So you have to sell your soul in front of everybody.
And
for fun.
Now we're saying sell your soul, but in reality, it's just this little fun, lighthearted gesture game they play to get you hype and everything like that while you're there.
It's a theme. I think in Japan they follow a theme, and when you walk into the theme, you're kind of signing yourself up to be a part of that theme. So that was when I say sell your soul, we're playing a part of the team.
It's basically like as you join the character build, you don't break character with the employees, so then everybody feels, I guess, normal is what I'm going for.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we leave out of there, kind of like we left out full, I would say, and we we left from there, and it was at this point we've done seen everything like we talked about in the other video previous of the stores and everything being the same. So now it's I believe it was a race against time to get back to that comfortable bed that we have been talking about.
At this point in time, we were like, yo, it's 6:00 at night. Let's go to bed.
Let's go to bed. And like I said, the bed was really comfortable. And then I believe the next day, this is getting closer to the time frame we're about to leave.
Mm-hmm.
The next day, we remember that we haven't seen the Kit Kat factory yet.
We haven't gotten any Kit Kats in general.
Yeah. So, you, you think trying to find stuff in America with a GPS is hard. Try finding something in Japan and your GPS wants to act like it's Japanese.
Or your phone dies.
Or your phone dies. Either way, it's a horrible time.
No, Google Maps, and somebody warned me about this who had previously gone to Japan. He warned me that Google Maps was going to be trash. And I was like, but for the little stuff, it might be great. Like, it might be a little bit better. And no, it was trash. It was complete trash. Google Maps, I'm so disappointed in you.
Yeah, because we finally get to after a good, I'll say a good quick train ride, because after a while you get used to the travel. We finally make it to this mall, right? Now, our as we walk into the mall, the GPS is leading us everywhere, but it's not telling us exactly where. At least from what we know that we were in the area, but we didn't know if it was underground. We didn't know if it was above ground. Because in Japan, a lot of things could be underground, and a lot of things can be up in the air.
Yeah. It's never in just one area, like of space. It's never flat. It's always up or down.
Which I commend them for, because that means they're using all the space that's provided.
True.
Which I like.
No, that's not a problem.
But so, come to find out, while we're walking, we run into what I can only assume are Japanese Jehovah's Witnesses. Mm-hmm. And they were helping us out, and we were doing all these little gestures with our hands and pointing to stuff and showing all these things. I said the word Kit Kat to them. Mm-hmm. I remember saying it. And them looking at me like I was crazy. And then you said it. And then they automatically knew what we was talking about.
But you have a country accent, so maybe you said Kit Kat, and they're like, what's a dit that?
So
I said Kit Kat. No, but for real though, I think they were approaching us because we were foreigners, and I think their main approach was to, visit them in church. And I think they saw that we were very lost, and they approached us, and they're like, hey. They just knew we were, like fish out of water. So, Nick was like, do you know where the Kit Kat place is? And I don't think they understood him for whatever reason. And then I was just like, Kit Kat. And they're like, oh, Kit Kat.
Yeah.
So I think it's just the enunciation
of what was going on, I guess.
Yeah. So they really didn't know. They said they knew and that they had just been there, but they really didn't know. We had actually gotten the best Kit Kats from a random candy store.
Before we get to the random candy store, let's talk about how, once again, leading back to pictures in Japan are designed with like this, I'm assuming a wide lens, because it makes everything look bigger. But the place we went to was a small kiosk.
But see,
amongst a bunch of other chocolates.
We went to the random candy store because we thought that's where the Kit Kats were. Mm-hmm. And then we realized that's not where they were. So we had bought in a whole bunch of Kit Kats from that candy store. Because remember, I bought that little shitty burger maker.
Yeah, see, but that's after the fact. Remember, because after the fact.
Oh yeah, because they were just like, there's this other one.
See, before we even went to that one, we had to go find out where the normal where the quote unquote Kit Kat factory was, and we went down under the mall where we were surrounded by a whole bunch of other gourmet chocolate areas, and then we found out that the Kit Kat place is a small kiosk where they sold a variety of Kit Kats from like fruits, which taste horrific, and
so basically think of a farmer's market for candy, like chocolate, like really prestige chocolate. But that's where this Kit Kat place was,
right.
And it was its own little kiosk table with two little like cabinet benches, two people working it, and a whole bunch of Sublime Kit Kats that are just chocolate
to American
Kit Kats.
If you go to Japan and somebody tries to sell you a Sublime chocolate,
you buy it, you an idiot.
It's basically the same as a Kit Kat from here.
He's being nice.
Yes.
I'm warning you. All these other people are going to tell you, no, buy it. It's different. It's not.
It's not at all.
We bought it. Didn't we?
Yeah, no,
yeah,
no,
because
no,
it came
no.
with the pack that we got with the
Yeah, but
the fruit one.
that came from like their special deluxe pack that has more stuff in it. But initially, if you go into Japan and you hear somebody talk about you gotta get these Sublime chocolate Kit Kats or these Sublime white chocolate, just know
They tried to sell us.
they're gonna try to sell you on it, but it is really just like any American Kit Kat that you possibly could find.
And we say this because they let us taste it.
Yeah, and like
I don't know my Kit Kats.
and understand that the price had like
It
at
was
least
$30 for this big bar.
like a 20. It had to be like a $20 upcharge on it.
No, the big Kit Kats that you can buy at the gas station for like $3, the max.
Mm-hmm.
They were selling almost that same exact thing.
They were.
Yeah, it looked exactly like that.
Mm-hmm.
In a big little bar. It was in 2 things.
In the other store, yeah.
Yeah, in Japan,
I remember
they sold it for $30.
Yeah, like so they try to get the idea is to try to get tourists to buy things, but other than that, you do have some other flavors sitting over there, such as your butter flavor, which was actually tastes really decent.
Tastes like a waffle.
It does taste like a waffle. And you had like your pistachio flavors, but the pistachio flavor we didn't get to. We get to the other store, which was a huge cut in price.
Mm-hmm.
Like we were so it was such a cut in price. We were able to buy bags and bags of this stuff. We got flan flavors. We had pistachio flavors. We had green teas. We had all this stuff that we got in big bags.
Mm-hmm.
We wouldn't have known about this if it wasn't for the 2 people who helped us, because they literally pointed us in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason why we did not attend the church ceremony they were going to is because the next day we were leaving.
Yes. Well, no, it was our last day.
Yeah, we were getting close to the last day.
Yeah, like the day that we met them was the second to last. So the next day that they wanted us to come visit was our last day in Japan. And if we had a couple more days, like, we would have been all for it. Like, you know, that's an adventure. But I think both of us, we agreed that this is our last day in Japan, that it's going to take a while for us to get back.
Right.
To come back here. So it's like, I don't want to really spend my day going to a church
on a performance. It was a performance happening, but I had a feeling that we were not even going to understand the performance.
Yeah, it was like it was going to be a completely different culture. It's great to support it, but at the same time, it's like I'm not really here to
do that.
Yeah,
at least not this time.
Not right now. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I think if I had a lot more time, I'd be down for it. But it was our last day, and if that makes me selfish for taking that day to have fun, then so be it.
Nah.
I spent too much money just to sit here and not be selfish and just go to everybody.
I am going to say this. I am going to say this about the Kit Kats, and I believe that you should be warned, because we were not warned. Not all of these Kit Kat flavors are delicious. I'm going to say it again. Not all of these Kit Kat flavors are delicious.
For the people in the back.
I know, right? So, if you go into Japan and you hear someone say something about go get these lemon Kit Kats, they are not your friend. They are not. They don't have your best interest at heart.
They're giving you poison.
They are doing something that you do to your greatest enemies. The fruit flavored Kit Kats, besides the strawberry and I think it had to be like rat.
So there was apple, blueberry, lemon,
right,
raspberry,
right,
strawberry,
right,
pistachio, green tea.
And out of all of those, strawberry, pistachio, and green tea taste better.
The strawberry, I think for real, I don't know if that was their Sublime version. It probably was. Their strawberry version, though, I will vouch for that one.
Yeah,
it had a distinct taste. Like, the strawberry was so distinct that I was like, I like the fatty strawberry version.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, speaking of that, gourmet Kit Kats versus store Kit Kats are thinner. If you get the gourmet Kit Kats, they're going to be really thin, and
make you buy more and think that you're getting a real good deal on gourmet just because they put gourmet or Sublime.
And they're only going to give it to you in 2s now.
Yes.
So I would suggest that you find the store. It's not that far away. It's literally across the street. I would suggest that you find that store and you get the Kit Kats out of there. It's hard to miss because when you go up into it, it's a giant candy store that also sells homemade burger making kits, which I'm gonna let Raven explain.
Yo, that was the trifling ass shit I've ever experienced in my life. Okay, so burger making kit. So we go and buy these Kit Kats, right? So we go home. I'm mad excited thinking that this burger kit is going to taste like candy because on YouTube, when I researched, they stated that, oh my God, this ramen tastes like candy. So I'm sitting here buying boxes of kits thinking, I'm going to get this great deal. I'm going to make some burger candy and y'all going to be straight jealous because y'all munching on this gummy burger and I'm munching on, some cookie burger. Whatever in my mind I had in my mind. We get back to the Airbnb or whatever. I'm opening it up. I can't understand a word, but I know how to look at pictures. So I'm whipping it up and it has a distinct smell like actual meat. So I'm making the bun. It has like these instructions to put different powders in different situations or different, areas. And then it has a cup for your soda that literally said cola. And I was like, yo, this don't smell like candy. Nick's looking at me like, So, I continue the process because I'm like, maybe it smells like crap, but it's going to taste amazing. 20 minutes in, I create this burger. This powdered meat tastes like a smoothie of Spam and flour. And there's not much I can say except for the fact that I wanted to throw myself out that window of a 7-story building because I could see why people are so disappointed.
Well, I tried the soda.
I spent $3. Yeah, the soda was terrible. I could have got some more Sublime Kit Kats in America.
Yeah, so like it wasn't a great experience. Much like when we had tried the rice cake ball scenario, that basically had raw fish inside of it. So, moving from there, we're getting towards the time where we're leaving. We're preparing to leave, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're preparing to leave and get out of there. It became stressful because we had ran into a situation earlier that day where we had lost a certain amount of money at a restaurant. That normally people say that oh, they give your money back. I heard that from somewhere, but apparently Raven had dropped some money on the ground and they had took it and did not tell her that she had dropped money. They just let that fly, and she was heated about it. And
I was heated because there wasn't anywhere, like, just think of it. There's no trash on the roads, right? There's no plants. We're walking, and I literally only went to one building, right? Went to one restaurant, went back home, noticed that I was missing money. And I go back to these areas, and it's like they just, once they do business with you, I went to this person, she was like, ready to give me my ill because it meant money. I come back and basically she acts like I've never been there and that I don't know what you're talking about. And I'm like, all you can just tell me is I dropped money or I didn't. You don't have to act like I'd never been there in the first place. And I think that's where it kind of became disrespectful because it's like, you guys are so ready to take my money. But if something like really happens and I'm like, I'm not really from here. I think it's just the whole principle of it. It was kind of like, I wouldn't do that I wouldn't do that to somebody else. So it's like the fact that I'm in this different country, I'm not expecting y'all to kiss the ground I walk on. But I think it was like people always talked about how Japan was going to be so respectable, and they respect your property, they respect your belongings. And it's like, I literally dropped a belonging that I didn't know I dropped, and no one respected that, and people kind of treated me like I was literally like an idiot for losing money. And I was like, okay.
I do have there is one glimmer of hope that happened throughout that day. And so, like I said, none of these things comes without a con or a pro. So one of the glimmer of hopes is she forgot her phone in the store. I believe it was a Family Mart, and we were looking all over for it. Lot of anger, a lot of running up and down the street, and it just so happened that we had thought about the last place that she had been to get some money out, and it was a Family Mart, and they had kept her phone in the back of the area, well, open enough to be seen, and all I did was walk in there. They didn't know what I was talking about, but luckily her phone started ringing. I pointed at it, and they didn't really ask me nothing about it. They just assumed it was mine, and I just picked it up and I walked out. That's kind of bad, but at the same time, I mean, we got it back.
At the same time, yeah, it could have been a lot worse. I could have lost my phone. I could have lost, some money. But at the same time, it was kind of like, if I lose my phone and I have it on Find My iPhone, so if you don't understand how Find My iPhone works, it's going to lose its mind until somebody, if it's your phone, you unlock it. So if anybody was to take my iPhone, it would just be going crazy. I could be able to track it unless they turned it off or it died, but I could still be able to track it if they turned it back on, and it would be locked until it became back in my possession. So it was like, yeah, I didn't lose my phone, but at the same time, I'm like, well, I know why I didn't lose my phone, because I kind of already prepared not to lose my phone. So at the same time, yeah, I get your point. There's a glimmer of hope. You always see, the glass half full.
Yeah.
So
which is how really you should go about life, seeing glasses half full. But needless to say, we're here now in America, back in Georgia. So we made it out. We made it out of Tokyo alive. No, but so we had this really long train ride and stuff like that went really well. We got to see a part of the rural and suburban area that we hadn't seen before, which is actually really lush and really beautiful.
Yeah, they take really good care of their country, which I think that's why it's so beautiful. Mm-hmm. And I will give 100% credit. Like Japan, mostly like rural areas, it's so plush. They take care of their land. They know how to take care of their land, and it's well trimmed. It's well taken care of. It's beautiful.
I couldn't remember seeing it. Even if it looked like it was messy, it looked like it was designed to be messy. It was crazy.
Like their messy is like almost rustic. Yeah, it's like aesthetic. Like rustic.
I saw a neighborhood that had trash in it, but it looked like it had been like sat there by designers.
Yeah.
And it was designed to look that way. It was
like
crazy.
Something you like a wallpaper you get off of Tumblr.
Yeah, it's like
every time you saw something in a rural Japan, like Tokyo, I guess. It's
like every grunge anime you've ever seen.
Yeah, aesthetic,
like it's
wave pop Japan or something.
It's like that's trash, but like
that's some beautiful trash.
So
that's aesthetic.
That right there is gonna look good under some neon lights.
Japan trash.
That's gonna look good under some neon lights there.
Oh yeah, just like flashing with some anime.
Oh man. Yeah. And then I finally had debunked the mystery of why in Naruto people were able to jump from rooftop to rooftop. If you're in a rural area, most of all the buildings are really close together, like dangerously close together.
But how does Naruto come into this?
Well, see,
they're not even from Tokyo.
But what I'm saying is, okay, all right, so they may not be from Tokyo, right? Mm-hmm. But they do have an Asian culture to themselves, right?
It's kind of racist.
I'm not trying to be racist about it, though.
I get what you're saying. Like, but at the same time,
samurais, ninjas.
I think you're making it very stereotypical.
Right.
That it's like you kind of gotta let Naruto be Naruto, unless it's like you literally saw him in like Tokyo, Japan.
How you know I didn't see him in Tokyo, Japan?
Because I've seen Bleach, and they actually tried to mimic Tokyo.
Okay, so all right, in Bleach, They jump around on different rooftops,
I don't
right?
know. It's been a while.
You know. Look, in
You
Bleach.
know what? No, I stopped watching Bleach when they killed off Grimjow, my baby.
Lord. All right, so as we just established quietly, Bleach, they do jump from rooftop to rooftop.
And I'm done
And-
commencing my funeral
and
of Grimjow.
so that's how it works.
Yes.
So, but anyway, oh man. All right. So anyway, we finally get to the airport. You know, flights are flights. It's a long flight, but the problem with this flight is, we get to Korea. That went smoothly. We got to sleep through it.
Mm-hmm.
Korea back to California was a horrific moment that we're going to spend a short time talking about right now.
Well, you know what? We didn't even sleep through Japan to Korea because it was like we got on really late. Like we got on at like 5 o'clock. We were supposed to sleep through the trip to go back to California. But yeah, he's gonna.
Yeah. So
I had good headphones.
yeah,
So
I was unfortunate.
I told him.
I was unfortunate. So with my unfortunateness,
We shared though. I didn't just leave him in the wilderness.
Yeah, with my unfortunateness though, there was a family behind us,
Mm-hmm.
and their children decided to start crying for hours and hours on end. They were kicking the back of our chairs. They were jumping over the chairs.
Well, be fair, it was only one child.
It was okay. One,
But yeah.
It was most definitely a he.
No, I was talking about the mom.
Oh, the
The mom looked exhausted. Like she looked like she was trying not to lose her mind.
Yeah, the dad was all sleeping and stuff. He was enjoying his flight.
Yeah, the dad was just like, I'm just gonna ignore that this is happening. And I think, you know, after 3 kids, because that was like their 3rd kid, they were like, whatever.
Yeah, like he didn't even have a seat. He was just there. I don't even know how that works on a flight.
I don't know.
That he was just like he just running free. But anyway, yeah, that made a really sucky flight. A lot of loud crying and a lot of crowdedness and just being hot.
Yeah, I think there was one instance. I really don't know how to take it because it was just like, yo, you know, like what's going on? Like, why is this baby so angry? He would want his mom, and the mom at the time was sitting next to me on the flight, and you know, she's like in the last seat near the window because that was her seat. So she's sitting there. He would want his mom, and then after a while, when I guess she didn't give him what he wanted, he would want his dad. Like, and he would just like in my seat was literally in front of like next to his mom, and then right behind where his dad was right behind me. So it's like you just have him going back and forth, you know, potentially kicking his mom's food off the thing, making a mess, and then there was a point where he just kind of up and jumped and just tried to go to his mom, and he kicked all the food in the back on the seats. And like all his brothers were like, yo, like his brothers were kind of done too. They were like, can we just like leave him?
We want to leave him here. So we finally land.
Yeah.
We land in what I would say had the most epic highlight to the whole trip, and that was California. Yeah. And in California, we had went onto the pier. We was on Venice Beach.
Yes, we stayed on Venice Beach both nights.
Both nights we were there. Venice Beach. We had a really cool security guard. He hooked us up with some candy and some coffee and things like that. We had lit a bonfire. It was a good time out there by the beach. Like, we're looking at the ocean, y'all.
Yeah, I made sure our hotels were on the beach.
Right. We not only were we doing that, we also were walking the entire. We tried to walk as much of that beach as we could. And then we walked, got some good tacos from a legit place. And as we're on our way back and we're eating our food, we saw a lot of random deals happening in alleys that we shouldn't have ever walked through to begin with.
It was one deal, and we were like, let's mind our business and keep walking.
Because they were staring at us like...
Yeah, they were staring like what are you going to do? And we were like, nothing. Mind our business. So after that, we just kept going, and they didn't bother us. So mind your business.
Yeah, like that's number one. When you go to places you don't know nothing about,
and
mind your business.
And you see something that is none of your business.
That's the moral of the story.
Mind your business.
So luckily we made it back to the what I had to assume was the most rickety, but yet classy hotel ever, because they kept their old elevator that still runs off of like
Yo,
weights.
we got on the elevator and we're like, we're gonna die.
It was rickety and shaky and stuff like that. We're not gonna drop the name of this place, but it was it was scary. It looked like something out that you would film a horror movie in, but they just cleaned it and refurbished it up pretty good.
Yeah.
While we're eating out on the balcony, literally there are some drug addicts down on the.
You know what? I'm
by the
not even
beach.
gonna stereotype. I don't know what they was on. They were probably drunk.
This
Mind my business.
They was out. They threw a random dance party by a bench.
So yeah, there was the Alota man. I think I'm saying that right. Alota? The corn man. Oh, I wish I got in some corn, but I didn't have any money on me. But the point is,
I remember him.
When that man come, you know it's lit. So I can understand why they were dancing with some corn. But the way they were dancing, let's just say we're eating our tacos and we're like, yo, this is terrible.
Let me first state, there was one person with corn. It was already eaten. And
oh yeah, she's just dancing with a cob.
Yeah, she was just dancing with a random cob. Another one was over there dancing on the bench. And then all of a sudden, the friendly neighborhood other guy comes up with a
friendly neighborhood Jonathan
just comes up with a bike. My medicine.
No, he came up with like one of them wagons, them grocery wagons.
He was
with
very,
no groceries.
He was very upset about this.
His medicine.
His medicine.
His medicine.
Yeah, man, he out there trying to get his medicine.
He was looking for his medicine.
Oh no.
Yo.
Oh, it's deep.
It's deep.
Yo.
But I'm changing games out here.
I think he was looking for some type of medicine, and you know, we all can kind of guess what that medicine was.
It wasn't NyQuil.
It wasn't NyQuil.
It was crack.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what it was.
Probably even wasn't crack. It was probably like,
don't do drugs, because
mind your business.
Mind your business and don't do drugs. Cause he walked up, he was furious with the girl sitting on the bench and stuff like that. Cause she was completely thrown off. She didn't know what was going on. Mainly because the guy.
She kind of just looked at him and kept dancing. They both kept dancing. They looked at him while he was yelling at them, and they were just dancing the entire time. And I think he got so fed up that they weren't taking him serious about his medicine. He just up and left because we never saw him again.
Because there was this mysterious medicine man that he was looking for, but we were watching the whole thing while eating these delicious tacos, and there was no medicine man in that area.
He never came.
He wasn't. I didn't think he existed.
We don't know his life,
but we do know for a fact that he didn't get his medicine that day.
He wanted his medicine,
and I hope that he got it in safer means. But
we hope he finds his medicine.
We hope he found
his
peace,
medicine,
or whichever one he preferred,
or his groceries.
So after these fun-filled days of walking on the pier, taking pictures of the waves and bikes and all kinds of palm trees, and basically we were more relaxed in California than we were in Japan, which is saying a lot. We finally got on our flight and we headed back to Georgia.
Yep.
Even though before that happened and we were waiting on our Uber, which all our Uber drivers in California were really nice. They talked to us about a lot of everything.
Yeah, they talked to us about a lot of celebrities they met, which was pretty cool. And they, of course, they were like, yeah, I met celebrities. When, you know a lot of people that talk about me and celebrities and they, like, freak out. But it's like I kind of already expected them to be like, yeah, whatever, you see it all the time. So
and that's kind of how they were. They were just we asked them, we was like, what about the celebrities? And they were like, oh yeah, they're around. And I was like, oh, y'all don't trip out or nothing? It was like, no, they live here.
Yeah, we see them a lot. Like, it's almost like they're just regular people, which is how you should treat
any celebrity you run against to.
Exactly.
And so while we're waiting on this Uber, I did look over by the trash can, and this dude did have himself a morning bowl of whatever narcotic he was enjoying at the time. By the guy, you didn't see it because you were looking in another direction.
Yeah.
I was looking.
I was minding my business.
I wasn't following rule number 1.
Was being nosy and not minding his business.
And I looked over, and this man looked at me, took a hit, walked away. I like to think that he enjoyed the rest of his time. But
we hope he finds his medicine.
And we hope. I don't think it was the same guy, but even if it isn't, I hope he finds his medicine.
I wouldn't know, because you know why? I'm on my business.
There you go. Mind your business 101. So we get in the Uber, as you know, Uber trip. You get in there. we never ran into any traffic, which I was very surprised because everybody always says traffic sucks in
I
California.
got good planning. Thank you. You're welcome.
That I will go with that. And so we finally make it back to Georgia and everything like that. You know, that was I believe we had a pretty good trip.
Yeah, we got on the trip. We couldn't sit next to each other on Southwest when we got back because it was packed.
Which kind of sucked because, you know.
Yeah, I missed him so much.
Oh,
I felt lost. I felt lost without my other soul.
It's almost like she wasn't 2 rows in front of me.
I felt so lost. So gone. Like I was never going to make it within 5 hours.
She could have easily had messaged me, but, you know, whatever.
I can't message you on the plane.
Yes, you can through the digital head pads.
We didn't have that on Southwest.
I stand corrected. So.
I know.
Anyway. We make it back, and that is
part 2 of Japan, our trip.
Yeah, that's part 2, and yeah, it went really well. Hopefully there's some more adventures and parts that come into play, but thanks for listening, and you'll see all this information and more through links to Raven's YouTube account. And thanks for listening, and please subscribe and leave a comment on what you liked and what you didn't like. Thank you.
Thank you.